Welcome to Touched and Empowered, a show created to empower individuals to value their lives by hosting think tank discussions that will inspire positive action. Touched and Empowered with Katie and Ace starts now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Touched and Empowered with Katie Miller and I, Ace Lagosa. Thank you so much for joining us this week. As you can tell, I am as colorful as the unicorn horn of Katie Miller's unicorn horn. But
it's a tie-dye kind of day.
It is. It's a colorful kind of day. And there's something about it where I was just like, let's go as 80s as possible. Let me put all the rainbow.
And why not? I mean, we are allowed to have our moments of random goofiness. Why not just make it a colorful day on top of it?
Exactly. And funny enough, so ladies and gentlemen, I actually had this wonderful compliment the other day. Right. So I'm sitting at a dinner table with, the guy that I'm seeing, along with two other individuals I know that have known me for a good maybe 5 years or so, right? And then four people I don't know, which is great. That means
50-50.
50-50, socializing, awesome.
Nice.
So in the middle of the conversation, person that has known me for a while, but actually we haven't had full conversation, so it makes sense. He doesn't like really know me. He was like going around or talking about ages, and he just looked at me and went, "Are you a Gen Z?" And it took me a minute to go, I really don't know why I took that offensively. I was like, am I not mature enough to be? Anyways, I'm sitting there and I'm listening to him and I'm like, known me for quite a while. Okay. Well, no, I'm not. I am a millennial. The person that you have, that I'm dating, that we're the same age. But I get it. I get everything between 12 to 42.
Which is one of the reasons why we get along so well.
One of the 50% individuals that doesn't know me from across the table is like, that's so on target. And I'm like, at this point, I have to figure out a way to just play with this. Like, I know it's a good thing, and people are like, that's a good thing. People think you're younger. It's great. And I'm like, that's awesome. But do
yes,
they ever?
And it's a yes, and it's wonderful, and
it's wonderful, and another fun part of the wonderful and this is why I like phone calls for business versus video calls or meeting people in person.
It's one of those things that for the longest time I can remember wanting to be older. Figuring that if I acted older, if I talked like I was older, if I looked older, people would take me more seriously. And yeah, no, that might have been what it was back when I was a teenager. And that might have been what it was pre-COVID. But now it doesn't matter your age if you're authentically yourself.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter. It has not at all. And it was funny because I remember when I was going in to create a new company, and it was like it wasn't my very first startup idea. It was my very first time like having two business partners that I had business advisors and ready to go. And, one of my business advisors, he's a very respected CPA. And I was like, what else do we need to do to like get our company up and running and get funding? And he was like,
I love the serious face.
Yeah. Anyone starting a company, we like seeing a little gray.
Oh.
Right. And I looked at him and I went, fine, I'm going silver.
If you're gonna own it, own it.
I'm like, if you want gray, I'll give you gray. It's gonna be pretty. Like it was.
Oh my gosh, but that is so hysterical because I have had gray hair since I was a teenager. It's just come in a lot more prominently since I've been married, has a kid, got a mortgage, all of this. I'm now in my 40s. I actually went to the hair salon to get my hair cut and made an off the cuff comment about dyeing my hair to hide my gray. And my hairstylist, I have no idea who this chick was because this is the first time I'd ever been to this place. She looked at me and she goes, honey, people pay money to have gray hair like you have. Don't cover it up. And what did I do? I dyed my hair purple instead. But that's okay. The point is, the gray's coming out. The gray's starting to come back out. But it's funny because I never considered that an asset because you hide your gray hair. Every female in my half of the family tree hides their gray hair.
On my side of the family, the females gray early.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, it's not a gray, which is really fascinating. So whenever I look and I'm like, oh, look, silver hair. It's silver. It actually is silver, which is really fascinating. And I'm getting more and more as I get older, regardless if I look like I'm 12.
I found that mine is actually coming in white.
Oh.
It's not coming in gray. One of my aunts, hers comes in like a really dark steel gray, which I think is beautiful. My cousins don't agree with me. They think I'm weird, but that's fine. Mine is actually coming in white. My grandma passed away with a solid head of snow white hair, and it was gorgeous.
That is beautiful. Like I kind of want the process to go a little faster here. Because the silver is so cool. And I know it is a $300 job to get that. And like, if I really wanted to pretend like I was younger, I could just dye it darker. It's easier.
True. Going darker is a whole lot easier than trying to go lighter with hair color. Oh my gosh.
My favorite is like when people are like, you can drive? You can drink?
My favorite, well, I hated it at the time, but my favorite one was when I went out to dinner once or out to lunch with my mom once, and I got carded. My mom didn't get carded. Oh, wait, no, the roles were reversed. My mom got carded. I didn't get carded. They carded her.
Your mom must
for not looking like 21, and I did not get carded.
Okay, yeah.
I was getting it backwards there for a minute. My mom is in her 50s. She looks good for her 50s. Don't get me wrong. My mom looks great. She can keep up with my son and the other grandkids. But that kind of hurt my ego a little bit that my mom looked younger than me.
That's funny. Oh, I hear you. It's like, so I remember when I was younger and I legally forgot my license at home.
I love how you legally forgot your driver's license at home.
There's a Q on that one. So my sister is 11. My sisters are 11, 13, and 15 years older than me, right?
Right.
So because I legally forgot my license at home, my sister let me use hers so I could get into this place.
Okay.
That legally needed me to be 18.
Okay. I am totally buying this. Yes.
The terms are honest, and I'm glad everyone understands legally this makes sense. We go. I don't even get carded. My sister immediately gets carded. And she's 11 years older than me. She's 27 at the time, legally. It is interesting because our stress levels are actually what can sometimes make us look like we're aged.
True.
16 years old in high school legally, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the most stressful years of anyone's life because you're applying to colleges, you're dealing with your hormones, you're dealing with dating for the first time, you're dealing with parents, you're dealing with trying to
Trying to
understand.
be an adult, trying to be free, trying to understand what you want to do in life. And
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure at that age, so much pressure at that age. And when somebody is even a air quotes amazing achiever at that age, there's a lot of anxiety regardless what you're doing. Like you might be achieving things you like because then the other kids are looking at you at the same time going, "Arr." Like it's one of those, it's hard at that age, very, very honestly. And we get that. So my stress level apparently made me look older than 28.
hey, you know what? I think it happens to the best of us.
Mm-hmm.
I really think it does. And I just look at it now. And I mean, back then when it happened, I was really annoyed. Now I just laugh
Now I can.
because it's funny. And it's one of those that I realized that at that, looking back at it, I wasn't necessarily 100% happy with who I was as an individual at that point in time in my life versus now I am much happier with who I am as an individual.
That's beautiful. I was like still understanding just everything I was feeling and not understanding it at all.
Yeah, I don't think I understood anything when I pretended I knew what I was doing. I pretended I knew what I was talking about, but I didn't understand anything as a teenager. I don't think I actually made a rational decision until after our son was born. Because I was still growing. I was still trying to figure it out. I was trying to figure out life after high school. I was trying to figure out life as a new wife. I was trying to figure out life in a new job, in a new state, in a new house, as a new mom. There were a lot of new things going on at that point in time in my world. So yeah, I don't think I was thinking rationally at all.
That makes sense. Yeah, when I was 16, I was still trying to figure out why life was worth living. Like that that was the capacity of where I was at with all the different things that were happening. I'm like, what's worth taking on these challenges? And oh, there was a lot that answered that question.
Because I mean, granted, we all have our own challenges when we were in high school. I mean, when I was 16, I was relearning how to walk because I
Right,
had a broken femur.
right.
So
Yeah.
that put a big damper on high school activities for almost an entire school year.
Wow. Yeah, I had some like I actually that year I think I had labrum surgery with my arm.
Mm-hmm.
Like I fell wrong during a cheerleading stunt, of course. And then additional trauma happened while while I was recovering too from the surgery that made it even harder to even want to do anything. It was really intense. Like I remember just like not wanting to get better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
And
remember
I don't think that's just a teenage thing. I think that's anyone who's been injured and then ends up getting re-injured during the healing process.
oh, it makes it harder to
Yeah.
recover. It actually makes it like 4 times as hard to recover. So I still have issues with my shoulder, and that was 12 to 42. That was that was 14 years ago, folks. And it's still like really like I rarely work out my arms because I'm nervous about that.
Yeah.
But I'll work out legs, core, um, those parts of my body. When it comes to my arms, I'm like, I'm okay. I don't need to lift things right now because I'm still not sure if it's going to pop out.
Well, one of the things that I have found because I broke my femur. Actually, I was older than 16. It was the summer between my junior and senior year of high school was when I broke my femur.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have found as I've been getting older and stuff, if I do not stay on top of at least the stretching exercises for my hip, my whole body goes out of whack.
Ooh.
My hip goes out of alignment. My spine then goes out of alignment. I then have more pain in my knees. I have more pain in my ankles. I have more pain when I sit, more pain when I stand, more pain when I move. So even though I'm not physically like trying to press weights with my legs, at least if I keep up the flexibility of the joint, then it helps prevent all of this more uncomfortableness later on.
Yeah.
God, I sound old right now, but that's okay.
Yeah, because we talked about, so my hips were misaligned.
Right. We were talking about you going to the chiropractor because your hips were misaligned and everything else like that.
Ladies and gentlemen,
So
I have to.
you were given exercises from that, I'm assuming.
No, more just like what habits to change.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily exercises. It was more like, all right, so when you sit down in a chair, you need that little arch in your back to be there.
Which means put a pillow or get a chair with lumbar support.
Something of that nature. Or when you sit anywhere, you have to be conscious of that.
Oh, that's a pain in the butt. But
I sit.
literally, it can be a pain in the butt because of your hips.
Yeah.
But that makes sense.
Yeah. And sleeping on my back. Sleep on your back. I was like, what? What is this new thing I have to do? Huh? No.
You think, and I don't mean to laugh at that because the whole concept of sleeping on your stomach is so foreign to me because I am curvily blessed. So I have not slept on my stomach since second grade, maybe third grade, maybe.
I slept on my stomach since forever.
I cannot remember a time when I ever did not have extra curvy flesh in the way of me laying on my stomach. Never.
I hear you. I think, by the way, the new body image allows for every type of person, like the new beautiful, right?
Yes. Yep.
Now that people have done the strike against Victoria's Secret. The new body image is any shape, form, Kardashian ever. It
is because there's so many different shapes out there. And the shape really doesn't matter as long as the rest of your body is healthy.
Exactly. I agree.
So as long as you're healthy and you're a little bit extra curvy, that's fine. Because guess what? There are people who like curves. There are people who don't like curves. There are people who like muscles. There are people who don't like muscles. There are people who like tall. There are people who like small. I mean, everyone has different flavors that they like.
Yes.
That's why Ben and Jerry's has got so many of them.
Right?
So just enjoy your flavor and be happy.
Exactly. So my flavor has never gone beyond a 6 in women's sizes. Folks.
I don't think mine has gotten smaller than a 13. No, 14. I don't think I've ever been smaller than a 14.
I'm a 14 in children's clothing.
And that is empowering. Good for you.
I went to the store and I
remember. No, but it's adorable because I've got a friend from high school who is like less than 5 feet, and she's the exact same way. She could still go to the junior section and go shopping. And part of me is annoyed with it because I can't do that. But then again, I remember, wait, they make graphic t-shirts for adults and plus size figures that are just as funny as the ones you find in the junior section. So I don't care anymore.
yeah. Like, I don't want to wear juniors clothing because then I'll be carded everywhere I go, and no one's going to take my business acumen seriously because all they see is this versus hear this.
And I think one of the things that was pointed out to me in a recent interview that I did, actually, because the comment came out about my unicorn horn.
Mm.
And I understand that I wear it all the time during our podcast. And I wear it like 90% of the time during my Zoom calls. But I understand that if I am a guest at someone else's event, that if it is a distraction to what they are doing, I will remove my unicorn horn out of respect for them.
That's understandable. Yeah.
Because I don't want to be a distraction when someone else is trying to present.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually told in this interview that I did that's going to be on some Roku channel. I don't know when, but it's going to be. She actually told me that as long as I name the elephant in the room at the beginning of the episode, the beginning of the interview, she didn't care. So within the first, hi, my name is Katie Miller. And yes, I do walk around with a unicorn horn on my head because I am unapologetically myself. And I got there by doing self-work and then just went through whatever else it was that I talked about. That might not have been exactly what I said, but close enough. But I was able to relate overcoming challenges to being able to express yourself fully, which is all part of my coaching thing that I do anyways. So I realize now that yes, I will still take off my unicorn horn as a sign of respect if I'm at someone else's event. But if they don't care, then it stays on and I'll just acknowledge the elephant in the room.
Woo-hoo! That's good.
Lots of fun.
Yeah.
Join us next week as Katie and Ace continue to talk about their fun fashion choices, music, and so much more. Thank you for joining us. We hope that the discussion today will inspire you to take positive action in your life. Until next week, be empowered.